Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another episode in the May 2017 estate sale. It's still Sunday morning, but decided that I was going to split this up because I've got a few other items I want to talk about here, and then one other item that I want to spend a little bit more time on. So let's see what's left in the box here. So just when I thought I had bought every indicator in the place, I found this. All right, and what's behind this dirty face, I cleaned it up a little, is yet another federal indicator. Whoever this was really liked their federal indicators. This has got the miracle movement in it. Anyways, this is a little handheld, quick reading, I guess, thickness gauge, for lack of a better term. It's got, you can tell by the way this is, shape of this thing almost appears like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. How would you hold that thing? Oh, maybe, oh, okay, here we go. Alright, so we got a concave area on the bottom here. My theory is you hold it like this, finger over the top like that, and you do thickness measurements with it. So at least I think that's what this is. You know, there's a number up here, but that's clearly the number for the indicator, more than likely. There's nothing to, well, you know what, at first I thought this was just a regular federal indicator that was mounted in this special housing, kind of like the way that the bore gauge indicator is made. But the more I look at this, the more I think that that indicator, that this body right here is actually the body of the indicator. In other words, that I don't think you can take this indicator out of here and have it be a standalone drop indicator. I think this might be special to that. The number is a 26P-7-R1, so I'll probably Google that at some point, see what the heck that's all about. This is probably the last indicator in that whole place that I hadn't gotten. And in the same area, I found this little plastic box and looked at it more closely and realized, son of a gun, if this isn't loaded with points for indicators. They all look like the typical, you know, thread, but there's some funky ones in here. Look at that one there. It's a 90-degree dog leg. Here's one with a needle point on it. There's one that just comes to a point. So those are handy. Keep those. I'll put those in a safe place. Oh, okay, so here's one of the items from that electroplating system. Maybe I was probably confusing the two. So this is what he thought that cable harness went to, but it doesn't. This is the Samsung Technology Corporation electroplating system. Clearly there was a funky power supply connector that went in here, which was nowhere to be found. On the front we've got strip, plate, and power. We've got a switch off in the center, and this must be strip, that must be plate. Has this wiring harness wired right into it to stay with it. We got a banana jack with an alligator clip on that lead. We got banana jack on there and a banana jack on there. Also in the same area with all that stuff was this. Okay, I don't know. Well, let's see, there's a label on there. Yeah, that label says Samsung Technology Corporation, Davis or Davie, Florida. D-A-V-I-E. Never heard of that place. Davie, Florida. And all right, that's a female that will take the banana. Okay, and that's got some kind of little tiny probe on the end there. Why would you have that on a plating? That's interesting. No idea. And again, other sections of this system had already been they were already either missing or someone else had bought them. So this is just a part. It's kind of like the Taylor Hobson Tally Surf. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, but when I went back this last trip, someone had come and bought that very old Taylor Hobson Tally Surf system. They took all the electrical boxes and the Tally Surf platform with the vertical column on it that I had mentioned in earlier episodes. So I recently listed on eBay the little accessories that I had gotten that I didn't realize were for the Tally Surf. It's unfortunate because I have no idea who this is that bought that Tally Surf, but you know, if he actually intends to hook it up and try and make it work, I'd love to connect with him and get him those little accessories. So, well, I figure that eBay is the world's marketplace, so I put them on eBay. Who knows? It'd be kind of funny if the guy who ends up buying them from me off of eBay ends up being local to me. Then I'll know where he got that Tally Surf from. But I've actually had it listed for a while now, and there's no interest. I mean, I think I've got it listed for like $10 for all of those pieces. The other thing I listed was the little standards for the Taylor Hobson standards for surface roughness. Again, not really any interest in them so far. Might take some time for somebody to find them. What do we got here? And there was this box of miscellaneous hardware. We've got some nice nuts with a coating on them. Some small ones, mostly large ones, and one pin. Yeah, that's weird. Look at that pin. There's no hole in it. Huh. The hell's supposed to keep that in place? All right. Now let's look at this last item. Oh, my mistake. I forgot about these little items here. I was digging around, rummaging through, and I found this guard, okay? And I looked at it, and I said, gee whiz, that sure as heck looks like a guard off of a grinder. So I have no idea whether or not this is a guard off of a surface grinder, or whether or not it has anything to do with any of the grinders that I've bought so far. So I just knew that this was going to be thrown in the scrap metal, so I knew I didn't have to pay much for it, so I put it in the pile with everything else, and probably didn't, whether this was in the pile or not in the pile, it probably wasn't going to affect what I ended up paying for this stuff. So I figured I better grab it just in case. So I've got this guard, and it's got this yellow paint on it. The other possibility is the Hammond grinder that I bought like on the first trip. That's out in the tent because I don't have room for it down here yet. But that I remember was missing some stuff, so I'm wondering whether or not this is a guard for that. Even though that thing's red, I know that that was painted red by somebody, and it didn't come from the factory, that color. So maybe this was taken off before it was painted. So I better hold on to that just in case. So next item is another pair of, well, not another pair because I didn't have a lot of pairs, but angle plates. But this is the first pair I got out of this estate. And the funny thing about these is I saw these on the first trip out, and what's there is this drill press, and this drill press is a gear-headed drill press made in Sweden. I can't remember the name, and it's something that, you know, part of me is like, oh, I'd like to have that, but part of me is like, oh my goodness, that thing is heavy as heck. It's in a basement with nasty stairs you're going to go up. It weighs a ton, and what's on the table of that drill press is a rotary table, a tilting rotary table, an old one that is too large for the actual table of that drill press. So what somebody had done in order to use that on this drill press is they had actually mounted on the left side, they had mounted one larger angle plate like this to basically extend that table on this side. And then on the other side, they mounted these two little ones like this to extend the table out this way, just so they could support that massive rotary table. And I had already taken off the left-hand one on an earlier trip because I got him to sell it to me. And this trip, I figured, well, these are the last two angle plates in the place by the looks of it. Might as well get those. These actually were in pretty good shape. The surface rust that's on them right now is because I forgot them in the bed of my truck. When I unloaded everything else, I had forgotten these in there, and I drove around with them for like a week, and it had rained. So anyways, these are probably Suburbans. It seems like almost every one of the angle plates in this place was a Suburban. Maybe not. Who knows? No markings on it. I don't really care. They were little itty bitty angle plates. No harm in having those around. So the drill press, you know, if I could get the drill press for scrap, I told him I'd buy it for scrap value. So I keep telling him, I said, you know, if you get to the point where you're going to just scrap it, for all I know, the thing's already in the scrap yard. Because last time we were there, we couldn't come to an agreement. He either couldn't come to terms with what the scrap price per ton of heavy steel is right now, which is very low. It's like 15 cents or 20 cents a pound is what it works out to when you do the math. Because, of course, they quote you by the ton. And a ton is roughly 2,000 pounds, so goes without saying. And then the other thing you couldn't come to terms with is the weight of the thing. Okay? So I actually looked up more recently online, and it turns out the weight of the drill press is like 375 pounds. So it's heavy. He's thinking the thing is 1,500 pounds or something like that, because he wants to multiply 1,500 times the scrap price per pound. And that's just not going to happen. I mean, the rotary table's probably 200 pounds. Quite frankly, the table's probably worth more than the damn machine is, for all I know. All right, this is the last, second to the last item, and this is an SPI 7-piece jack screw set, but it's not. Okay, what it is it's an SPI 7-piece jack screw set missing just one item, the jack screw. I may have snagged a jack screw way back in like an early episode. I think I remember seeing one. All of these accessories have never been used. This is a complete rip-off of the Sterret, by the way, in case of those of you who don't realize it. It's got the same pieces. I like just the fact that it's got this nice case. My Sterret just came in a little cardboard box. Well, I just went and checked in my Kennedy, and sure enough, I had taken this screw jack that I had bought quite a few episodes ago and put it next to my Sterret one. But I bet you, because that came out of this estate, this is the one. No markings on it. And this was with it too. And lo and behold, that fits in there perfect. And that does too. So there we go. That's nice. I like that. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? Alright, so this last item I picked up this trip, when I spotted the box and looked at it real quick, I was like, oh, that might be something I might be interested in. And then when I looked at it more closely, the box, I noticed it said Sony Magnascale, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, wow, I wonder how the heck I didn't see this the first several times I was there after I bought that other Sony digital readout that you guys saw me playing with a few episodes ago. So I immediately realized there was a strong possibility that this might be an accessory or something that might be able to be used with that digital readout. So this is a DG205P digital gauging probe is what it says. Now, interestingly enough, I think a lot of this stuff is obsolete but being sold on the secondary market as surplus. This particular one, judging from the label here, which I kind of redacted because in order to protect the integrity of whomever may have owned this at some point. This came from a computer recycling and recovery place in New York, and judging from the PayPal label on it, I would say this was probably an eBay purchase. Good possibility. So let's take a look at what's in here. And by the way, that purchase off of eBay or wherever that was purchased was back in 2005. So this thing has been sitting around probably for quite a while. We got an extra long cable that looks grungy and dirty enough to suggest that this is used. We've got this very interesting interface here, which I'll have to go and check in a moment to see. But I think there's a place on the back of that readout that allows you to actually plug this in. We'll find out. And then we got the actual gauge itself, which in itself is kind of interesting. So this does say Sony digital gauge DG205P, but I mean, if it was just like a drop indicator type thing, why is this so long? Unless, does this pull out? I don't know. And there's something going on the end here. I think this might be junk. This, on the very end here, this looks chewed up, like somebody was trying to grab it with pliers or something. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this acts like a scale. So if you had some way to connect something to the end here, then you could actually, if I had a way to mount this on a table, and I'm wondering whether or not that mini mill, that mill drill, I'm wondering if the same guy owned that, and if he bought these Magnascale parts surplus with the intention of maybe trying to make like a DRO for that little mini mill. Because the obvious issue here is the practicality of using this as a scale on the mill. Well, the limit of the travel is, what, about 8 inches. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't really be practical for that. Let's hook that thing up and see if it does anything. So this is the Sony LY51 that I picked up quite a few episodes ago and already tested out, and it seems to operate perfectly fine. And it came with this special plug interface and everything, and this, which is the digital gauge DE12BR. This just basically acts almost like a drop indicator, a really, I guess, accurate drop indicator. And that plugs into the back right here with this strange interface here, and then you'll notice there's another cover over here, which makes me think that you could put a second one of these in here. I also noticed over here we've got a couple more knockouts here. This is, whatever this module is plugged into here. Okay. But then I've got 2 empty slots right here. So I'm thinking one of these covers might be able to be removed and allow you to plug this into there maybe. Well, one way to find out. Oh, you know what? There's markings underneath here. So I should see whatever channel this is on. Whatever channel this is probably not the channel that I want to put this on. Let's see. This is plugged into signal N1. This is IO1. This is IO2. And this is IO3. It's also possible that this doesn't fit this at all, and the guy inadvertently bought it thinking it would, and when he discovered it wouldn't, he just let it sit there getting old and moldy. Alright, I see a large D-shaped connector down there. Yeah, I can tell right now just by looking down in there that this is not going to plug into this. Even though it looks like it would fit, yeah, physically it won't fit, and electrically it's the wrong plug. So that's a bust. So this actuator here, unfortunately, is not going to work with this, which is bad because it means now I can't test it. You know, if I sell this as is untested, I can't imagine who would want to buy it. It's too bad because this works perfectly fine. So if I found like a DG205P for sale online, offered by some company that handles like surplus equipment, and they want some kind of like really crazy price for this thing, because they're probably basing it on what this thing was new. So this was probably a very expensive precision piece of equipment when it was new. You know, I don't even know whether or not this thing, it's a little stiff. I don't know whether or not this should be lubricated. What really concerns me is this whole end right here looking kind of chewed up. I'm thinking now this knurled area is to be grabbed with needle nose pliers or something. And then I think this cap right here probably unscrews and reveals a threaded hole in order to be able to hook something up to this. Either that or this is a point contact that this is supposed to come down and actually touch something. Okay. So this would be like for measuring something tall very accurately. I don't know. But this still does look like it's made to maybe be able to be unscrewed and changed to another part. You know, now that I look at it more, I don't know if this is going to focus, but the more I look at it, the more I think now that this is even a carbide tip on there that it's a carbide tip, but it's all chipped up around the edges from somebody trying to do something to this that probably wasn't supposed to be done. See if this will focus. I don't know if that's focusing or not. Probably not, right? All right, well. So much for that. I got overly excited about this thing, and I think I based a lot of what I paid for this last load on the value of this to me, which was a mistake. You know, hopefully some of those other little items there I'll be able to sell and recoup. Oh, I just wanted to add on a little extra information I found out about this thing before I close out this episode. So the DG205 part number means that this is in the DG series of scales, DG for digital gauging. And 205 denotes that it's a 205 millimeter range of stroke, I guess. So the distance that this covers is 205 millimeters. I did also find on a website that actually has these still for sale brand new for about $1,500. Even seen this as expensive as $3,000. This is a replaceable tip. There actually were a series of different tips that could be put on here. There are also devices called air lifters that are available for this thing, which I guess the air lifter would automatically retract this for the purpose of, I guess, getting ready for the next part to come along down the line. So if this was on an automated assembly line type of thing. What else can I tell you about it? The tolerance of measurement is something like a half or 0.5 to 1 micron, which is incredibly small. So that's why the thing was so damn expensive when it was new. I don't know. I still don't know whether or not this is supposed to just drop freely or not. So I don't know whether or not the way that this sticks when it gets to a certain point here, it's sticking inside there. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know. This clearly can be disassembled by unscrewing this, and this could be taken out, and maybe the inside needs to be cleaned or something. I don't know. This particular model, I believe, is IP67 coolant and harsh environment rated, which I know I've got a pair of Mitutoyo digital calipers at IP67, and the whole idea there is that supposedly you could splash coolant directly on the calipers and they're supposed to be able to take that. So this, apparently, another reason why this is so expensive is that this could theoretically be used in a harsh environment. But the biggest mystery is still the interface, because this that I found in the same estate is an LY51. So this is an LY series display. According to what I found online, this is supposed to use, I think, an LG or LT series display. But the problem is, when I went online and found some photographs of some of those displays, I could see in some of the photographs that the plug inside there was identical to what's inside this one. So I have no reason to believe that this strange interface would fit those either. So that doesn't seem to make sense. I even, for those of you who are wondering, I did take off this cover and pulled out this module just to see if it was different in either of these. And no, there's a D-shaped plug down at termination down inside all three of these that does not look anything like this. So anyways, so anybody else knows anything else? Maybe they worked somewhere that used one of these systems or whatever and wants to share some information with me. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, this is going to go off to the side, and I don't know. I don't know if it's going to immediately go to eBay or if we'll play around with it at some point. I'm in no hurry. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode, and this may very well be the end for this this estate. Of course, I said that last time and ended up going back, but I haven't been in contact with the individual in a while, and we're going to be pretty busy this coming week, so I probably won't get a chance to even go back there, even if I wanted to, for another week. So, all right, take care, and if you like watching these kind of flea market finds series, please subscribe to my channel. And also keep in mind that I do other things. This was just such a huge estate that it kind of ended up being a ton of episodes, and it kind of monopolized my channel for a while there. All right, take care. Goodbye.